Welcome back to part two, our best part on investigating love. And we have someone who I sure will tell us a lot about love. Q is my friend Henry Oliveras, like we call him Q from Enrique, is an amazing dance teacher, the best male dancer I've met in this area. And if you want to find out more about him, and because you can come back to the show, what is it?
Oh, it's bioenergymassagemovement.com.
Bioenergymassagemovement.com. And so, Q, tell us what you would know or would like to know about love.
About love. Well, that's a big question. Could you narrow it down?
Well, maybe if you'd like to, your as you were doing with me, your experiences of love,
My
what you've learned
experiences
from
with
them,
love.
and what you would like to learn or know.
Wow. Well, I don't know if you were watching for the previous show, but Michael and I were talking about the length of time in relationships, and I've been in mostly long-term relationships. I mean, for me, coming out of an 11-year marriage, and finally coming to a place where I'm, open to dating. It's new. It's a new experience out here for me because even when I was a younger man, I mean, I jumped into a relationship when I was 19, and that lasted 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been, I think the shortest relationship I've ever been in has been 2 years or 3 years. So it's never really been, anything like 5 months, 6 months. I think that happened maybe twice in my life. Um, and it's, for me, well, I grew up, in the '60s and the '70s. So, and I lived in the ghetto when I was bused to the higher end neighborhood. So it's funny when I think of love. I think of love through those eyes first and foremost, through the eyes of R&B, where there's really it's almost obsessive love, where you have to see and you have to talk and really really kind of get the innards of each other going. And
Could
then
you explain that a little more? Because I'm totally ignorant about that.
okay. Well, if you listen to those old R&B songs, they're all about pretty much obsessive love.
What would be one example?
One example, "You Make Me Feel Brand New," the stylistics.
I don't know these at all.
Okay, all right. Well, again, the song is just really, really obsessive. It's about obsessive love. It's about somebody that makes you feel like you're brand new, like everything, like the whole world is being rediscovered. Now,
Wow, that's beautiful.
it's beautiful, but it's misleading as well. I mean, these are feelings. As I've matured, shall we say, and I've learned more about medicine and science. These are feelings of infatuation. I mean, it's all it's all chemical and it's all physical, and it doesn't really hit where relationships really land when you're living with each other. That kind of one person had once said to a friend of mine, "I love you, but I'm not in love with you," and I had to ask, I had to ask him, "What do you think that means?" But I think a lot of people equate, being in love with somebody with that "you make me feel brand new"
Oh,
thing.
I see. That infatuation.
That infatuation, that heart palpation where you're still interested, the chemistry's still going, whereas the truth of it is, in my experience, and as I look around at other couples and have watched, I've been a watcher since I was a boy, really. Uh, it seems like, yeah, people get together, and as time goes on, the corridor, cools, the ardor cools, and
Did that
and
happen to you in your first
um,
7 years with your first girlfriend, a woman
with my
friend?
first girlfriend. It didn't happen all that right away, but what I find my truth is, and in talking with men who are still in marriages or have been in marriages, there's a systematic breakdown of communication, or there are
Did that
ex,
happen? Did that
ex,
happen? Did it happen with you?
yeah, absolutely, unrealistic views of your partner. People tend to put their I myself at one point only saw the good, and although I could see the bad, I was raised to believe that people learn by example, so you shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. So
So you stayed with this first
I stayed with her for 7 years. It was the dynamic was really kind of strange. And
Did you live together?
we lived together for 7 years.
Where?
In Co-op City, and actually her mother and
Co-op City is where?
Co-op City's in the Bronx, at the very edge of the Bronx, and we lived together. But it was actually her mother's apartment. So her mother actually is the one that asked me to move in.
Was your mother in there too?
Yes.
So you lived with the
One
woman?
big happy family. Yeah.
Wow! And you lived there for how long?
7 years.
The three of you.
The three of us.
And why did it end?
I didn't want to be married. I asked her to marry me because that was the proper thing to do after 5 years.
Is that what it is in your culture? 5 years?
Well,
or-
no. The way I saw it, what I felt I needed was home. Was that kind of earth element where
Yes, I'm sure. And you had it in some ways. You had a loving mother there.
I had a loving.
Wow.
It was
Well, not so
interesting.
loving. Oh.
It was interesting. In many ways, I did have it there, but it was still incomplete. What I find is
Well, don't leave me. You asked her to marry you after 5 years.
Oh yeah, and then I broke it off.
Oh, she said yes?
She said yes. She said yes.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
And then you broke... Why? This is crucial. Why did you break it off?
I broke it off because I knew that I would not be happy with her, past that point. I wasn't happy for a while.
And what does that mean? What did that involve?
Being happy. We had different views of the world, different aspirations of how a person should evolve. I believed in evolution. I believed in spirituality, whereas she was really much more physical, much more about doing things and having a good time. And I really wanted to build something.
So you couldn't talk to her about the things you were interested in?
I could, but just because you can talk to somebody doesn't mean they can meet you in that space.
So you wanted someone to meet you in your spiritual interests?
I wanted someone not to. I didn't want somebody to work at it. I really wanted someone that was naturally inclined towards those things.
I wonder if that's realistic. I don't know, but I think.
Well, at this point, I don't know whether it is either.
So, but you broke, and you must have broken her heart.
No, I suspected that she was actually, with somebody
Really?
else. Yeah.
Oh my!
And I broke it off, and as soon as I broke it off, she went off on a weekend
And
with somebody else.
Oh, when you left the home.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I took everything with me
Wow!
the same day. And,
Did you miss the mother?
No, I missed the cat.
The cat.
Yeah, I missed the cat.
So you had no second thoughts about this.
Oh, of course I had
Oh, you
second
did.
thoughts.
Oh,
I mean,
I see.
once again, when you're with somebody for a long time, you
They're
build
home, yes.
you build a world, and
Wow.
when your world crumbles, there's always this. Well, did I do the
But
right
you didn't
thing?
go back and ask her to marry you again.
Oh no.
No.
Once I found out that she
Or
had gone
date her?
away.
Oh,
No.
lucky.
I generally don't do second chances, Michael. I did.
Not
they
me.
they just don't seem to work
Yes,
out.
I do second, third, fourth.
Well, good
I'm
for
not
you.
defending
and,
this.
and I'm not asking. I'm
Yes.
not accusing you
So
of
what
it.
was the next significant love?
Oh, the next significant love was the mother of my son.
Well,
Yeah, 3 years with her.
where did you? Never mind. Go on.
But go ahead, ask.
Where did you meet her?
I met her in Co-op City.
Oh, in the Bronx.
In the Well, actually, I met her at this little bar restaurant, the Pelham Bay Diner.
After you moved out or before?
I had moved out already.
Oh.
I was living somewhere else, and I went.
And you fell in love with her, or?
Once again, we're talking about what is love.
Yes,
and,
but
I thought I was in love with
You
her.
thought
Yes,
you were in love
I
with
thought
her,
I, but in actuality, in retrospect, I look at it now and I say, well, look at all the things that were going on in your life, and a lot was going on. My father had fallen into a coma. A close family member had contracted AIDS. I mean, there was just a horrendous thing, just like devastation all around me. So what do? You find the first thing that resonates with you, and which is what most people do, and they grab it.
Yes.
And
you did not plan to have a child with her, did you?
oh no, I didn't.
But
no.
you didn't. But you had it though. You didn't have an abortion.
No. I wouldn't press a woman to do something like that,
And she didn't want to either.
and she didn't want to.
But you didn't
either.
want to get married.
I did, but she left.
And she left.
Yes, and I'm so glad she did.
Wow. She left with your child.
With my son, yes, and
Wow.
and her son, who I raised for 3 years.
Oh, and her son
Oh
too.
yeah,
Oh, this is her second child.
Well, yeah, I loved it. I loved that kid like he was my own son.
So you've been through that. These are painful experiences.
Yeah.
One after another.
Yes.
But then you met someone soon to marry, or that was a while.
Oh wow! After no, I met an old girlfriend from the neighborhood. from the Bronx. Her brother and I were really good friends. And I went to his funeral, and her and I rekindled something.
This was after this.
Yes, this was after that, after my son's mother. So yeah, so again, I had a pattern going on.
Like me, yes.
Like you, I had a pattern where I would get involved with somebody, and it would just turn into a relationship pretty much, right away. We fell into each other.
Yes.
Yeah. And then it would last for a while, and then, I would become disenchanted and disillusioned.
But
And,
this one you didn't ask to marry you. Or did you ask her to marry you too?
who went?
The woman after this new woman, you were an old friend, you were rekindling.
I considered it.
You considered it also, yes.
Yeah, I considered
But
it.
this time you did not.
No.
Because the first two you did ask to marry you.
Yes.
And this one you didn't, and you were with her for how long?
5 years.
Oh, so you have had long relationships.
Yeah, I
And this one ended because?
we both knew that it wasn't working,
And this was really a mutual decision?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. She moved on, she moved to North Carolina. with
So
her
what does that
family.
mean after so long that you know it's not working?
Neither one of us were really evolving spiritually, intellectually, financially, so it was a stuck point. And you know what the really interesting thing is? That at the end of each one of these relationships, whatever stuck point there was for me, it was like somebody removed it, and I grew. And the end of my marriage is no different. Once it ended, I don't even feel like the same person. It's pretty interesting.
Once it ended. I feel that too. I like to keep, like I'm relating to my dear beloved Michelle now, and learning a lot about us that I didn't know when we were together. It's almost easier for me when we're not a couple to get a sense of who she is.
Right.
Because I'm not that petrified of being that close. So I can say, oh my, look at you.
Well, it seems to me like there's an old saying, the rich marry for money, the poor marry for love.
No.
Have you ever heard that?
No.
Yeah, the rich marry.
Wow.
For money. And for the most part, it's kind of right. From my experience so far, I think that people, when they're in poverty, they have to find a partner. To pay the rent.
Yeah, I understand.
To bear children, so the children will care for them.
Well, it doesn't have to be for love. That could be for money too.
It can be, but for the most part, it seems the appearance is that it's for love.
And do you think you really love these people?
I love them still.
Oh, you do. I do too.
Yeah, I'm not one of those
Even
people.
more.
Yeah, I'm not one of those.
Of course,
how,
it's
how do you
safer.
take? Let's face it. When you hate somebody who's hurt you, and this is another great saying: underneath hate is anger. Underneath anger is fear. Underneath fear is love.
Yes.
And I find that to be very true.
Yes.
So. What was your question, Michael? Let's
Never mind. So we still have another 13 minutes.
Okay, so as I was saying, it seems to me that that there is definitely a cultural difference, a class difference that goes along with dating and the inability to connect. So I think there's a lot of navigating that goes on with that. But I also find, and continue to find, that that
You mean a cultural difference with the inability to connect?
yeah,
with
that
community?
causes an inability to connect. That you see,
Oh, because we're different ages, or
different ages, different cultures, different. People see love in different ways.
I never found that. I always found it was I was just bringing my challenges to whoever I was with.
Oh wow!
Maybe I didn't give them a chance to. No, I never found that.
No.
It was always.
Have you dated multiculturally?
I've dated a Korean, South Korean.
Okay.
For all these, although I introduced her to her husband, I have 2 children. So I always tried to do kindness to people to make up for who I was.
Okay.
Which was, in the fight, flight, or freeze. So I compensated by being good.
Okay.
So, no, it didn't matter to me different women contributed. I found the woman who gave me what I needed. As I said in the earlier show, if I needed someone to just comfort me and not threaten me, I would find someone who was like she was, kind and comforting and asking for, not taught as a South Korean to ask for things. So that's what I would find the people I needed at the time.
Okay.
But out of need, not they were there to serve me. alas.
And you say you found them.
Oh, they found me, but there was some kind of. I discovered that I could never get to know someone because then my defenses would get in, and somehow my body would find the right person.
You know, it's funny. It's you know, it's very easy for me to be open right away, and intimate right away. It's just never. But once you know, it seems to me, and my experience is that once there's a connection and we both feel that connection, that I just kind of let everything flow. And generally, you know, that's the way it's been. We let it flow, and it grows and it flourishes. And even if it starts out physical, it tends to go deep. That hasn't been the case a couple of times, and I've been quick to say, okay, this isn't working. But no, I've always been able to kind of really, you know, kind of bear into the person and let them bear into me, and kind of really kind of bare our souls and talk about our dreams and our aspirations.
So what happened after this 3-year relationship ended? This was after. This was someone you met after the mother of your child.
Okay, Wendy was actually 5 years. I was with her for 5 years.
And the same thing, the same pattern. Get to know one another.
Well, we knew each other from when we were kids.
Right,
we
but
used
the
to
same
date.
pattern when you were.
Oh yeah, and again, mostly out of need. We both needed, you know, rather than take a roommate, we already, you know, we knew each other. I was a good guy. She was a pretty.
So
good,
that seems to be a pattern. You get to know them, you stay a long time, and then it doesn't. So as a close friend, I would say, maybe it's something in you. 'Cause this is true of me, at least. Something in you that's stopping it after a certain time. But it's not just the relationship.
Oh no! I mean, look. Let's face it. It takes two to muck something up.
Or just to stop it from growing in some ways. Or maybe, I mean, one rabbi had a theory that men and women are attracted for 7 years, and the 7-year itch is so that the genes could be spread. And this is nature's way of saying maybe to expect longer than 7 years is unnatural. Forgive me.
Well,
Maybe.
I think a lot of
That's how I've been.
I think a lot of dynamics play into that. I think that in many ways that's true. I think it could be, you know, I think that when a man and a woman cohabitate, I think they get used to each other's scent and each other's ways,
Yes.
and kind of complacency. And I think a break in that, you know,
This may be a good thing.
it may be a good thing.
And to just
Yeah,
so we only have 9 minutes, and we have a marriage of yours coming
a
up.
marriage of mine, right?
So how did you meet this woman you eventually
I
married?
I met my ex-wife at the Charles River School of Shiatsu, where I was asked to teach. So I went there, and I already knew she was coming.
Knew psychically,
So
or
I knew she was coming.
knew someone
I
was
knew the name. I knew
You
what
knew
she
her
looked like.
name?
Yes, right down the.
even though you never met her before?
Never met her before.
Indeed.
Yeah, and I saw in a dream, and it was really, really freaky. So I walk into this room, and I see her from behind, and I go, oh no. And then she walks over and gives me her name, and I go, oh no.
Wow.
So yeah, it was right down the line. And again, we liked each other immediately, and we just shacked up.
Even when she was a student, or did you wait?
Well, I became a student as well. So yeah,
But you
no,
were-
no,
oh.
we went. You know, she started out as a client. I told her I was moving to Florida
Yeah.
because I had 2 jobs and I was going to go to acupuncture school, and she professed her love for me. And I said, well, you know, I'm leaving. I said, but if that's the case, I can't see you as a therapist anymore. You know, and I said, I think that there's enough here to make a good go of it. And we were on, you know, we were on.
And this
something
lasted longer than.
Yeah, 11 years.
And this ended because.
Again,
Was it a happy 11 years?
it was, yeah, for the most part. I mean, we laughed a lot, you know.
Wow.
We laughed, we laughed and kissed every day.
Wow.
Every morning was hugs and kisses and laughter.
Oh my.
Yeah, and joking. I mean, we were.
That's a lot.
We were great friends. Yeah, it was.
And
it
you
was,
shared a lot. 'cause
and we
you-
shared. Yeah, we had a lot of the
huge
same
amount.
interests
A
and
huge amount.
and what have you. But there were issues that weren't being addressed. Although I tried very hard to get us into therapy and things like that. There were things on both our sides that really we couldn't get past. We didn't have the tools.
But you lasted a longer time.
We did.
Why do you think this lasted longer?
Because I was willing to say, okay, you don't want to talk about it, but you know, if you don't talk about things, they fester, and they did.
Oh, but the other ones you left.
They left me.
Oh, I see.
But again, there's some kind of sabotaging going on there, I think.
But this time also, in some ways, you were.
I actually asked for the divorce first.
Oh, you did.
Yes, I did. And then and in a year's time, she said, "I think you're right."
And you changed, but you had changed your mind. A bit, yes? Like all of us.
Yeah, well, I said, well, look, we've spent all this time together.
Yeah.
There's obviously something here.
A lot.
Yeah, well, when I said I wanted a divorce, it's because the things weren't being, they weren't being addressed. And I think, for me in a marriage, there has to be open communication. In any relationship.
You were married, which is different. This
Yeah.
time. When did you decide to marry her? We still have a long time.
Oh, wow. We were together 6 or 7 years, and then we got married.
Living together?
We were living together, right?
And who asked you? You must have asked.
I asked, of course I did.
And what moved you to ask at that time? Because that was longer than you had been with anyone, or at least as long as you'd been with anyone. That's a long
moved
time.
me to? Well, we loved each other, and I
But
think.
can you remember the moment when you decided to marry her, and how did you do it?
Well, I did ask her to marry me.
Did you have a ring, or
I had a ring.
You went and bought a ring first?
Yeah.
How did you find out the size of her finger?
Oh, there are rings all over the house.
Oh, so you took the ring. Oh, she
Yeah.
had this planned.
Yeah, I had it planned.
And how did you ask her to marry you?
I did not get down on one knee.
No, but what did you do?
I think we were having dinner. I think I took her out to dinner, and I said, look, I think what we have is very, very special.
So it
Would you
didn't
marry
have,
me?
So it did not have what the other relationships had, which is at that time a feeling of not growing and not being spiritually locked.
We grew in many in all the ways that I described. We grew. We both grew.
Wow, and so that was a lot. And,
yeah, it was.
And you knew who she was.
And we knew who each other.
And what did she say when at this restaurant?
Oh, she said yes.
Wow.
But one of the things that we both saw was that despite whatever issues that finally continued to kind of compound themselves because they weren't
Well, you don't
being
say
addressed.
continue. You didn't feel them when you asked her to marry you.
No. I saw them and I felt them, but I felt again, and this was my mother's upbringing. In time she would mature.
Even though it was 7 years.
Yeah, I said in time she would mature, and
I
perhaps
do
we
that
would.
too.
Yeah,
I do that
yeah.
too.
Well, I think we all. I think that when you grow up in a society and in a culture and in a time where love and the union between a man and a woman is the ultimate of accomplishments, I think that we'll hold on to that dream and that illusion till the bitter end, and I think that's what breaks a friendship after a marriage is, the disillusionment, and oftentimes.
But were you how could you have been disillusioned with her since you was, and you're no dope. You've been living with her for so long.
For myself, we both became disillusioned because she saw the marriage and the relationship going in one direction, but was not able to voice that. Whereas I saw it going. I wanted it to go in another
You want
direction.
to explain what these different directions are?
Oh,
you don't need to, but if you want to.
Sure, no, I don't mind. I wanted to hold on to my dream of being a teacher and teaching. And,
Which you're
and
doing
giving
now.
and giving massage for a living.
Yes.
And she wanted me to go into corporate America.
No, after 7 years living together, you had not. Was you surprised after, or did you know this before?
I was frustrated by the time we were done.
No. Did you know this when you proposed marriage?
No. We had
This was-
discussed.
wow.
We had discussed
Help.
it, and she had had a change of heart.
Oh. Well, then it was right that it ended.
It was. Nothing but good stuff has come out of it, at least on my end. But again, you asked me, about love, and all I can think of is, something that an older gentleman said to me. He said, "Respect and sacrifice." When I asked him, "What's the secret of your marriage?" he said, "Respect and sacrifice." And I looked at that for a very long time, and in a lot of ways, that really, you have to be able to sacrifice parts of yourself.
But you couldn't go into corporate America, no way.
Oh no, not me.
So not that kind of sacrifice at all.
No, I couldn't do it. It just wouldn't make me happy, and I tried it.
You did?
I did it for a few years, and it was. Yeah, it was
No
a strain
way.
on me. It became a strain on the marriage.
Oh, I have that a little with my marriage.
Yeah. So
now we only have 2.5 minutes. what would we say to someone like you? It's really successful. I remember my brother just saying to me recently, "You've really been unsuccessful in love. You should try something different."
Mm-hmm.
But only my dear beloved brother would say this. Not maybe not only, but my dear beloved brother would say stuff like this to me always.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't together enough to say, Len, it's been a huge success. It's been wonderful, even though I have a lot of sadness that I'm alone and feel sometimes a failure, but not really. I mean, I feel that, but it's been a great journey. I've been blessed. So both are there.
Mm-hmm.
So your journey has been a rich journey.
It has. It has been. I've loved everybody I've been with. I still have some love for
Yes, I was
everybody
so
I've been
happy.
with.
So do we have any, do we want to change or not? I mean, I've been
Oh,
blessed.
absolutely. Oh, I'm absolutely looking at. I mean,
Are we going to
yeah,
do it differently
oh,
this
yeah,
time?
absolutely.
I want to get to know someone. You did get to know them. I usually don't get to know them. I'd like to get to know someone first.
Oh no. For me, it's after looking at it for as long as I have and really kind of dissecting myself, I realize where the repetition is coming from and who I'm trying to save and who I'm trying to I get it.
Yeah, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, I don't want to do that
I
anymore
want to like
either.
them as they are.
Well,
if
I don't know.
can.
I mean, there's.
Is that possible?
I think there's certain. I think
Shame
there's
on
certain. I think there's certain things that one should expect from another. Certain common courtesies that need to be.
No, but they might be there. You like them. You might meet someone.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah, that would
like.
be wonderful.
Can we? Is that? I don't know. I mean, I really am. I would. That's what I would like. I just love you as you are. We can grow too. And I've not done that. I'm always been.
I have. Yeah.
Yes, you
I have.
have with your, even with your challenging upbringing. So we now have no seconds to go. We can wish love to our audience. Much love to you and.